Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday, May 22nd, 2016. We have another set of newly arrived presences in the Lynn-Life and the Jamie Body Mind. We do have some teammates in other dimensions. Teammates are those who are employing the search for truth techniques, living by the search for truth rules, and intending to get better.
That's true.
We're going with the foundational assignment, which is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions, to fulfill the soul plans of these bodies, these soul plans right here, this soul plan right here, waving the soul plan, whatever this is, and to upgrade the standards of integrity to that which will actually work to manifest the divine plan, because that is front and center on that soul plan.
That's true.
With that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. What do we notice? We notice that there does seem to be an awful lot of related soul energy that doesn't seem interested in supporting the search for truth.
That's true.
And based on the work that we've been doing so far today, it really seems that the related soul presences have been incentivized to block the search for truth efforts.
That's true.
Some might say their actions prove that. Some might say that it proves that these people have been either paid off to block the search for truth efforts,
true.
or have been threatened that something bad will happen if they don't block the search for truth efforts.
That's true.
And that they have sent in some aspects of what they think of as their lower soul stream. I think as stooges, I think they've sent in unsuspecting aspects of their own lower souls.
That feels true.
That they're willing to sacrifice, if that's what it takes. To keep themselves safe, and people
true.
like me safe. And what do I know? I know that what's messing up everybody is the definitions of self being so tight that they don't include any multidimensionality.
That's true.
That almost everybody seems to define me and people like me unidimensionally.
That's true.
And they're not thinking of their smaller subatomic selves as having value, and they're not thinking of their soul presences who are geographically lower as having value other than as potentially supporting them in their experience of sentience.
That's true.
And what else do I know? I know that the second rule of the search for truth culture is to turn around and help someone,
That's
to help
true.
the smaller ones. And what's the first rule? The first rule is to follow the search for truth rules.
That's true.
And what's the third rule? To tend the needs of the greater good.
That's true.
And what else do I notice? That we can accomplish all three of those at once by clearing lies from the smaller subatomic.
That's true.
And to these presences who are here, someone who is way up high and is very sad is talking about Asha
That's true.
and how long she carried on after it became really clear that her own related souls were no help. Asking them if they're going to let, I think they're saying, are you going to let a girl beat you?
That's true. Might be a little girl.
A little girl. Are you going to let a little girl beat you? And what do I know? I know these people feel very important and that they have been de-minioned.
That's true. They feel like they are very important.
They believe themselves to be very important.
That's true.
They don't feel to us that they're any different than the long line of people, and we have like hundreds of pages of tiny fine print.
That's true.
Names, a large roster of people just like them who have
That's
come and
true.
gone, come and gone, come and gone. And so to us, the observers, they don't seem important any more than any of these other people were also important. And of course everybody's important, and they have an important opportunity, and are they going to do well with it? Statistically, probably not.
That's true.
But every person is unique, every situation is unique. They could surprise us. So what we have here are two souls who feel like they used to be a big shot back
That's
home.
true.
Back home I was a big shot, and I had many minions,
That's
and
true.
now I have been de-minioned.
De-minioned.
And I don't really like that, but when I look up and I start to try to employ these procedures for reasons of my own that I don't want to go into, is kind
That's
of how
true.
they're saying it,
That's true.
then I start to see that it's really reprehensible what my related
My
souls are doing. And I don't want to be that guy.
That's true.
So maybe I should swallow hard, get over whatever is stuck in my craw, and see if I can help those smaller than me.
That's true.
Try to find the source of higher vibrations and deliver it there. And why would we want to do that? Or why would that be the assignment? The assignment, and we would want to do it because it's the assignment,
That's
and
true.
it might be the assignment because everybody else has been incentivized to not respond.
That's true.
And so there's no point in dumping lies onto desks of adults who should be taking responsible action,
That's
because
true.
they've been incentivized to not take responsible action. They aren't going to take responsible action.
That's true.
And we're delivering something from the subatomic into a presence or place where it's likely to be abused or mined or converted in some way to support those lives up there,
That's
rather
true.
than something that's a win-win-win. Try to find a higher vibration that's on the Search for Truth central axis. Let's do a little
That's
bit
true.
of bifurcation. All those who really want to know what's actually going on, the central axis of the Search for Truth pillar, and all others flung away. It does seem that there are more presences deeper in the smaller subatomic who really want to know what's actually going on
That's true.
than there are larger in the larger subatomic. We're all subatomic to someone.
That's true. Significantly more in the smaller subatomic than in the larger subatomic.
Significantly more. So let's just pump a bellows, get a river flowing kind of right up through the spine. You know what this reminds me of is the Underground Railroad. Get these people up and out of here
That's
to
true.
a place where they can testify, perhaps outside of the contagion. I see somebody way up high that might even be the one they call our Luce.
That might be.
It might be. It's so far away, it's kind of hard to see.
That's true.
It's almost Diogenes' routine, looking for an honest man. He's trying to
Almost.
find someone who will take up the cause at that dimension, and then he'll go up another dimension presumably and try again to find someone who will take up the cause. So I can tell that you're wasting time
That's what the
searching,
feeling
and that
is.
isn't what you're supposed to be doing. Just keep going straight up the central axis. If they aren't on the central axis, then they aren't going to take up the cause anyway. And
That's
so
true.
you don't need to get off on each floor and explore. You need to stop the elevator on each floor, let the doors open. You can even lean out and see if there's anybody coming down the hallway, but then get back on the elevator and go up another floor and then look. And that's all you need to do. Don't get off and wander around.
That's true.
It isn't going to work. All it does is waste time, and the contagion is still spreading.
That's true. The contagion of lies.
The contagion of lies.
You can feel that it's true.
But don't get hung up on what he does and doesn't do.
That's true.
We live stream it up. And now drop back down, way down below where we are, much deeper in the smaller subatomic, and pump again to get a bellows, a river flowing, so that we can get these presences up and out who really want to know what's actually going on, and we can send them to that guy who's the one they call our Luce. It's like his name tag reads, our Luce.
That's true.
So I don't think of him as my Luce, but that's what his name tag says. Oh boy, when we start to include emissions, there's a huge wave of sadness.
That's true.
I wonder what that's
That's
about.
true, I
Who
feel
is
that.
sad? Probably from up above.
This feels up above and very high up. And it doesn't feel like a room full of people. It just feels like one person.
We'll just live stream up to
Shima.
them and wave the soul plan. This soul plan here. This soul plan right here. What now, in order to fulfill this soul plan right here? What now, in order to support these lives in fulfilling their soul plans, these plans right here, these soul plans, these. What now? I think that person is sad because they thought hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of others would surely have solved this problem by now.
That's
and
true.
that presence can see the problem isn't solved and doesn't want to put his or her life on hold, maybe her life on
Could
hold.
be her. Feels female.
It feels female.
That's true.
And that she doesn't see any other way around it, and it's really inconvenient. You know what we were testing this morning? Does a reality have to be something that we like for it to still be true? Okay, so let's ask this very sad presence. Does something have to be to our liking for it to be true? I can tell that she knows that's true.
That's true.
And the question is, do you have the courage that it takes to go on record with your opinion that something doesn't have to be to our liking for it to still be true? It does seem as though there is an incentivization by the powers that be for presences to say that we have to like things for them to be true.
That's true.
If you really want to just appreciate technique, that's a good one. To make it illegal to say that something is true when we don't like it. That's good. I like that. Just as a technique.
That's true.
But we've noticed an awful lot of things that are true, quite clearly true, that we don't like. Who likes that 22 million children a year are sold into sex slavery? It's still true. Who likes that bees, literally bees, honeybees, are being threatened with extinction? It's still true.
It's still true.
Who likes that sea levels are already beginning to rise?
That's true.
It's still true. All these things are still true. Who likes that there are 17,000 nuclear warheads armed and on alert?
It's still
It's
true.
still true.
Yeah.
I don't think that she went on record.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I don't feel her anymore.
No. And that also is still true. So now, de-minioned as we are we going to press on? That's the question. Or are we going to be total losers like so many others? I wonder who's asking that question of us. Whoever's up there isn't in here.
That's true.
I might ask the same of you, friend. Clicked off.
That's true. There's a head clearing feeling.
This soul, he's interested in going deeper.
That's true. Very interested in going
Very
smaller.
interested in going smaller. Like he's really curious
That's
about
true.
this. I think that's fine.
It doesn't feel like a bad
Yeah,
move.
go for it.
That's true. That way.
That way. I'll take a 12-year-old, please.
That's true.
A 12-year-old who really wants to know what's actually going on. Actually, age doesn't matter. What I really want here is someone who really wants to know what's actually going on.
That's
intends to follow the search for truth protocols and wants to excel.
That's true.
He's already going down there and he's finding people who need help.
That's true.
He might be able to do some good. I doubt it. And why is that? Because his focus is unidimensional.
That's true.
And that's not what the situation calls for. That's not the need.
That's true.
Okay. Why is that? Because there are plenty of people like him, good, well-intentioned people who have skills, whose focus is unidimensional, And they're just really making the situation worse, not better.
That's true.
And there has to be one place for people who have multidimensional focus and want to know what's really going on. And that's what this place is. That's the assignment of this place, this soul plan right here.